super excited about this conversation that we've got with Jacob. So Jacob, maybe for those folks in the room that may not be familiar with Dapper Labs, maybe do a quick introduction on yourself, your role, and on Dapper's mission.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for having me. Very excited to be here. My name's Jacob Eisenberg. I'm the head of community for Dapper Labs. I joined the team in 2020. And Dapper Labs back in 2017 was founded really on the premise that at the time, blockchain technology was really all about cryptocurrency and buying and selling cryptocurrency. And there was a strong belief internally that blockchain technology could be so much more than that. And there was a real mission to bring blockchain technology to the masses through fun and games. And so Dapper Labs really believed in that with conviction and launched a digital collectible kitten trading game called CryptoKitties. This was in 2017 again. And we launched it on the Ethereum blockchain. And within a month, it kind of went viral to the point where it actually crashed the network. And there were tens of thousands of collectors breeding digital kittens and trading digital kittens. And the euphoria around that experience, the delight that collectors had kind of owning digital collectibles was so profound that every transaction that was being had, be it breeding a kitten or acquiring a kitten, ended up costing hundreds of dollars in gas fees. So beyond just breaking the network with a highly niche product, but also realizing that it was pretty unsustainable to bring that to the masses, Dapper Labs really pivoted strategy of, okay, sort of like the Jaws line, we're going to need a bigger boat. We're going to need a bigger blockchain, or we're going to need a blockchain that can actually support blockchain technology for the mainstream. And that's where Dapper Labs really pivoted attention toward launching its own mainstream IP product, and that's where NBA Top Shot was founded, and similarly launching a blockchain that could help kind of support the mainstream activity, and that's where the Flow blockchain was really founded.
And maybe let's start by talking a little bit about NBA Top Shot. It's been a massive success, so maybe spend a couple minutes just talking a little bit about what is Top Shot, what do those collectibles look like, and how does Dapper's approach kind of differ from other digital collectibles in the market?
Yeah, I think for a layman, or in simplest terms, it's digital trading cards, right? But rather than taking a still image on a piece of cardboard, we're taking the greatest content from the NBA, which is the highlights, right? On Twitter today, the most viewed video media on Twitter are basketball highlights. So taking the very best of one of the most popular sports in North America and making those digital collectibles you can buy and sell. So rather than having a still image of LeBron James in his uniform at picture day, you have LeBron James dunking over his opponent and throwing down an emphatic kind of slam. And these moments, right, these are fixtures in fan identity. When you attend a game, you remember the biggest highlights from those games. You remember where you were when X happened. And so being able to kind of immortalize those and capture those memories in digital collectibles that are moments kind of allows fans to not only appreciate their fan experience a little further, but also allows them to buy, sell, trade their memories essentially in a totally futuristic way.
And talk a little bit about how you think about engaging the user even beyond the initial first collectible. So how do you go about building that community?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it kind of comes into three parts, right? There's the primary experience. If I'm an NBA fan coming off the street, we really need to make it feel like this is any other old way to collect. So you can come into NBA Top Shot, you can rip your first pack for $5. Just like trading cards of childhood, in your pack you might get something incredible, you might get something from your favorite team that's not worth that much money, but has intrinsic value to you as a fan. And then from there, we need to provide game loops and ways to kind of engage with your collectibles in a way that trading cards really could never offer. So what does that look like tangibly? There are set collecting loops. So we drop a set of Top Shot moments called throwdowns. These are the greatest dunks from the NBA season. If I collect all of the greatest dunks from the season, I lock them into my collection, I'll earn an exclusive reward from one of the best players and one of the best dunks. So this season, for example, the only way to earn Anthony Edwards' best dunk of the season was collecting all of the other players' best dunks of the season, locking them into your collection. Number two, kind of interactive engagement loops. So we've, in the last year, launched Top Shot Fast Break. This is a game where you can play with your collectibles, similar to Fantasy or similar to DFS, where every single day we put up a prop. For example, field a lineup of 5 players that are going to score a cumulative 100 points. And there's a little bit of a resource management to it because you can only pick one player once in a given week. So if I use, I'll pander to the audience here, if I use Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on Monday, I can't use him again later that week unless I have a rare or a legendary version of his moment. So these strategy games help collectors kind of read the market, see which players are going to outperform necessarily other players on the market and which are good deals and values. So there's a whole kind of speculative trading to it as well. And then last but not least, and again, to use the trading card analog, when I was a kid, I was a huge Knicks fan. And when I ripped my pack of Upper Deck trading cards and I got my favorite player, Patrick Ewing certainly had no idea I had gotten his card in a pack. The New York Knicks certainly had no idea I had gotten his card in a pack. And the NBA certainly had no idea. So what does NBA Top Shot do? It really kind of becomes a direct-to-consumer layer for the NBA. And what that looks like holistically is we can reward top fans of certain players. So last week, for example, we had Miles Turner of the Indiana Pacers join our top Miles Turner and Indiana Pacers collectors for a virtual meet and greet where he answered questions for about an hour, and fans really got to kind of peek under the hood of what it's like to be an NBA player. We bring those experiences every week to NBA fans, and in the past 2 years, we've taken it even to a whole new level where top collectors of the Lakers have gotten to have dinner with Magic Johnson in the Hollywood Hills. We've had Larry Bird's top collectors get to meet him at All-Star Weekend. So these experiences are not only great for the fans, but they're also great for the athletes who can now identify their top fans and the collectors that are putting real skin in the game behind these players' moments and collectibles and getting a real thrill to see a more tangible relationship than ever before.
Super interesting. So it's really like, it's almost like a loyalty program specifically for the league, but also for specific players.
Absolutely.
And are you guys engaging, how are you engaging with athletes more holistically? Are they kind of the next stakeholder in your kind of, if you think about the league as one stakeholder, the community and users and collectors as another? Are the athletes the third pillar?
100%. And I think one of the big virtues of Web3 and digital collectibles is really rewarding creators. And when we think of who our creators are, it's the athletes on the court making the highlights that make collectibles. So when we think about how we engage with athletes, we try to take a real 360 approach. We start with rookies once they come into the NBA. Historically in collectibles, rookies have always outperformed the rest. So the rookie Michael Jordan card is going to be worth more than Michael Jordan's card from his championship season because there's kind of a baked-in scarcity there. But when with regard to these athletes in particular, some examples of partnerships we've done include when a big viral highlight from a teammate happens on the court, that athlete that we've partnered with will quote tweet that highlight that night and say hashtag NBA Top Shot this, or put that one on Top Shot. And what that does is it really allows for the full circular experience of being an NBA fan. You see big performances on the court, you see your favorite players talking about what that big performance means in the context of NBA Top Shot.
And how many people really know that there's a whole blockchain and kind of Web3 element underpinning this? And how many people are actually just NBA fans who are like really excited about collecting a moment in NBA history versus being a crypto maxi that is excited about the actual crypto blockchain components of things?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if we do our jobs well, the experience should be virtually indistinguishable from a typical Web 2 experience. Again, you can come in, you can buy moments from your favorite players, you can buy packs, you can buy, sell, trade with USD, you can cash out to your bank. There's no need to know anything about crypto to have that entire experience. With that being said, we have a community full of technologists and crypto maxis that really believe that this is the future. So many of our top collectors aren't here for a quick flip today. They are here because they believe, as many of us internally believe, the future is only increasingly digital. And the kids of today are going to want to show off their top collections on social media, via Instagram, TikTok, whatever it may be, rather than have those cards in a shoebox or in a binder. So this opportunity to really bring that experience to the forefront, I think that really excites the crypto maxis in our community. So I think everyone who buys, sells, and trades on Top Shot is aware that there's a blockchain powering this. But I don't think, and I think the key to it all is that they don't have to really dig deeper to be able to trust the experience is going to work flawlessly.
And so going down the Web3 route for a minute, I think one of the big things in the Web3 community is really about user engagement and stakeholder engagement, and really this idea of ownership of a community itself, kind of the decentralized ethos. I'm curious on how you guys think about collecting kind of user feedback and incorporating it into what you do versus the push for more, like, I guess there's always this tension between centralization and decentralization in every project. So how do you guys think about decentralization, but also collecting and responding to user feedback?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that for us, what's most important is building for the community we have with an eye for the future of the community we want to grow to. So that means we have to have a cognizant eye on the most pressing issues of today for our users. What are the experiences that are frustrating them? And that's kind of been paramount to us building our community. I think more tangibly what that means is putting a renewed focus into supply management and economy and all of these other kind of layers to driving an incredibly dynamic collectible experience. So I mentioned to rise the ranks of the top leaderboard, collectors lock moments into their collection. That effectively takes cards moments out of circulation, and that helps drive kind of behaviors and excitement from the active community base. Now, to the point about Web3 being for the community itself, one of the things we launched 2 seasons ago that we've been really excited about is this concept called team communities and team captains. So for all 30 NBA teams, we've designated team volunteers, team captains, that run community events in their local markets. So you can go to Sacramento or you can go to Oklahoma City and you can engage with these team captains and the fans of that team in a whole new way. And 1% of every single sale corresponding to moments from that team. So for example, if Jamal Murray's moment sells on NBA Top Shot, the Denver Nuggets community gets 1% of that sale, and they can then host events, they can host meetups, whatever it may be, merch giveaways, and new ways to kind of engage and connect with fans around the world.
So you can actually share economic ownership with teams, athletes, in addition to other kinds of communities as part of the program.
Absolutely. It's a big part of kind of reinvesting kind of the demand into trying to grow the community further. And what better way to learn about NBA Top Shot from a like-minded fan who also cares about the same team that you do and wants to meet up with other collectors or other fans in the area that you live. We are entering one of the lonelier generations, right? People are isolated on the internet, but how can Web3 really bring people together both online but also in person? And that's another huge advantage of NBA Top Shot or NFL All Day, the opportunity to really connect collectors through collecting.
And then maybe if we could touch a little bit on Flow blockchain, which you mentioned in the very beginning, CryptoKitties really broke Ethereum as a network. So that was the genesis of Flow. Can you talk a little bit about what makes Flow special and why developers would want to choose it to build other kinds of projects?
Yeah, I think the number one thing about Flow is just how versatile it is. Developers can build for any blockchain now with EVM compatibility through Flow. You can build on Solidity for Ethereum, and you can kind of get all the benefits of Flow, which include no gas fees, much higher processing power for transactions, efficiency of blockchain. All of those benefits come through EVM. So what Flow really does is it provides both mainstream onboarding opportunity through our products, but also through account abstraction. What that means is you can have a custodial wallet through Dapper, and you can also link that account to a non-custodial wallet. So you can have complete control of your assets outside of Dapper while still being able to kind of do anything you might want to within Dapper. And what that means more holistically is you get all the benefits of true Web3 ethos without having to worry at all about Web3.
So there's really an interoperability component that makes it really useful as well.
Yeah, 100%. Interoperability is one of the biggest things, and composability as well, right? So at any given time, we have dozens, if not hundreds, of developers building games and tools on top of NBA Top Shot, or NFL All Day, or Disney Pinnacle, our latest product that we launched, bringing pin trading from Disney to the masses digitally. So there are ways to both look up other collectors and trade with other collectors. There are ways to play additional fantasy-esque games. There are ways to look up a certain pack listing on NBA Top Shot or NFL All Day and see which hits are still out there unopened from the packs at any given time. So all of these tools make the collecting experience that much more rich and fulfilling.
And you guys are now getting into more live experiences. Maybe talk a little bit about how you guys think about moving from the digital world into the real world.
Right. Yeah. One of my least favorite words of all time is phygital, but we're seeing it increasingly. We've done a bunch of things here, including partnerships with Ticketmaster, where attendees at LA Rams games at SoFi Stadium were able to redeem a free pack courtesy of NFL All Day and the Rams. We've also done a tour, so to speak, for NBA Top Shot, where we went to 4 major cities, including Paris and Toronto, and brought out a fan favorite from that area. So with the Toronto Raptors, we brought out Jose Calderon. In Paris, we brought out Joakim Noah, formerly of the Chicago Bulls and of the French national team. And collectors were able to meet and greet with those players, meet up with the community at large. We had giveaways. We took them to a game itself. But more importantly, or more interestingly, we also had exclusive digital collectibles only for the fans that showed up to that game. So if you went to the Toronto meetup, you could get Jose Calderon's first moment on Top Shot. Or if you went to Paris, you were able to get Joakim Noah's first moment on Top Shot. And there's some unique aspects to that beyond being able to kind of meet the player and have a keepsake memento or souvenir from that experience. You also have access to a collectible that is highly limited and highly scarce because only 300 or so people were able to claim it there. So it provides another bonus for attending.
And maybe talk a little bit about some of the growing pains and some of the challenges of scaling. You now have like 3 pretty major pieces of IP between the NBA, NFL, and Disney, all doing different things. I'm curious on what it's been like to try to scale to several different kinds of communities, but also really be true to the principles that you guys came up with when you first started the project.
Yeah, I would say the biggest challenge was when Top Shot had its viral moment in very early 2021. The virality really started off of a very easy selling point, but a highly unsustainable and frankly unideal selling point of, hey, you got to get on NBA Top Shot. There's a lot of money to be made here. So people kind of came to Top Shot in masses and bought very speculatively, for comparison's sake, some anonymous players, maybe the worst player on the worst team, their common kind of base set card was trading for $80, $90 at a time, where in comparison today, they're going for $1 or so, which is a more natural, healthy kind of market. So I think a lot of people that came through that experience bought and sold and traded and lost money, frankly, in that experience. And one of the unique kind of layers to Web3 is they feel burned by NBA Top Shot, but in reality, they were buying, selling, and trading amongst themselves. So there were some real big winners in the community, and there were some losers. But the packs we were selling at the time were always kind of priced to drive demand and excitement. So I'd say that was the biggest one, just kind of the messaging adjustment of collectors coming, on this premise of I'm going to make a lot of money, and now trying to get people to come to Top Shot more because they genuinely love the NBA. They like the kind of premise of all of these unlocks that digital offers, and they enjoy collecting for the sport of collecting, so to speak.
I probably should have done this at the beginning, but maybe give people an idea of the scale of the community.
Sure.
If you have some key stats on how big it is.
Sure, yeah. In 2024 alone, we've had 90,000 collectors kind of come in, check their accounts. We've had about 50,000 collectors make a transaction, be it buying a pack, selling a moment, listing a moment for sale, whatever it may be. That's specifically on NBA Top Shot. On NFL All Day, it's about 20,000 or so. At one point in time, there have been 300,000 people lining up for a queue, and that's kind of what we're looking to get back to, kind of building brick by brick to build a more sustainable growth path this time around.
I really love this project because it's a great example of where we're really seeing Web3 real use cases that show value and are mainstream, quote unquote. What do you think it's going to take to bring more NFT type projects and more Web3 projects to the mainstream consciousness?
Yeah, I mean, I think for starters, there's a major aversion in the world to the word NFT. So I think needing to ditch that as a term is really important. Digital collectibles, digital assets, whatever it may be, resonates stronger and is a little bit more friendly to a normie, so to speak. But I think it's continuing. I think time is the most important thing. With collectibles in general, not even specifically digital collectibles, there hasn't been a collectible that within a year kind of just became accepted by the mainstream. Even Pokemon started as a game before it became a collectible. Trading cards, specifically baseball cards, took 60, 70 years. So I think time is a big one, but I think also continuing to do the right things to deliver value for customers and collectors. So again, bringing these digital experiences to the masses, connecting fans with their favorite players, their favorite teams, unlike ever before, continuing to embrace that direct-to-consumer loyalty program that we discussed. And last but not least, being where NBA fans are. So Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA last year, talked about the importance of 99.9% of all NBA fans will never go to an NBA game. Just by definition, there are 20,000 seats in an arena, and majority of fans aren't going to have the opportunity to do that. So how can the NBA reach these fans? And digital collectibles and Top Shot and Web3 are a great opportunity for us to kind of sprout that up. But for the fans that are going to the game, how can we reward every fan with a proof of concept of fan loyalty? So we talked about the tour where by attending an event, I was able to get a Joakim Noah moment. What about if I go to the Raptors game in a month? Will I be able to get a moment from that game delivered to my wallet because I scanned my QR code through Ticketmaster, whatever it may be, right? So those opportunities are all on the horizon as well.
And maybe just talking a little bit about what you're excited about in the future, either with Dapper or with other use cases that you're seeing with Flow.
Yeah, I mean, I think number one is continuing to refine the products and build for the core audience that we have. Number two, the layers of what this product and what these products can do with a fairly limited user base, right? We're talking about 6 figures. What happens when we have millions of people coming? There are hundreds of millions of sports fans around the world. If we get even a sliver of that back into Top Shot or into the ecosystem as a whole, what does that do for the experience? How much more exciting does it mean? How much more exciting is it to own a legendary or a rare moment from LeBron James at that point, right? So I think all of those things are very cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here and for giving us some real undercover insight into what it's like to be really running one of the first real mainstream use cases of Web3 and digital collectibles out there. So appreciate your time.
Thanks so much for having me.